Leith Anderson here at the 2013 PGA Merchandise Show with David Edel again, and he's got a line of irons that is not like anybody else's irons that have ever been made, probably.
I hope so.
I hope so. We don't know who it is if they did anyway. So why don't you describe what it is, how it is that your irons are completely different from everybody else's?
Well, first of all, I think there's a lot of good irons out there. But every person, I think, deserves to figure out their unique set of golf clubs. They want to have their hand in it. There's always something you say, well, I wish this club could do this or this club could do that. I wish it looked this way from the top down. So, you know, when you're going to enter into a new segment of the industry, you have to either just go with the flow and just do what everybody's doing and hope that you do well, or you really try to break ground in an area that makes you unique. And you know, with the putter fitting system and then seeing the individuality, you know, that's pretty much our model. And if I can't do it the best way I can do it, then I probably shouldn't do it, because there's a lot of people investing a lot of money and a lot of marketing to take marginality and make it seem like it's mainstream good for you. So, and I'm not saying when you try to make one thing for the masses and you don't recognize the individual in it, then it is marginal, because it may work perfect for somebody the way it's been designed, or it might grab an average of a certain percentage of people, but there's a lot of people it doesn't even come close to sufficing. So in the process, we said, okay, well, let's take the best possible components we can take and take a quality forging, get it oversized, and then we can take this and mill it the way we want it, and then we can start putting the weight in it that we want it, you know, and the properties that are important to the golf club, the bounce angles, the shapes, the weighting, and as you well know, because you do a lot of club building, is the fact that if you take a graphite shaft that weighs 70 grams at standard length, and you want to have a specific swing weight with it and a certain grip, that the head is now your enemy or your friend, depending on how it's designed. So if it's too light and you're down in the low C's and you want it to be DO or D1, D2, now you got to change. You got to slather it up with lead weight, or be able to change the badges in it, and or do whatever combination. So what we do is we hand grind every head per order, so that we know that the weight matches the shaft, the intended setup of the golf club. So it's not, we don't grind it until it's we machine it, and it sits and waits to be ground so that it can be ground to a specific weight.
So you machine it to get into a certain weight class where, you know, then the grinding lets you target that.
And the way we can change weight and alter weight is off this back strap. We can take a little more off of here, a little more off of here. Really doesn't change the functionality of the golf club, but it can peel off 10 grams of weight pretty easy. And still keep the function of the golf club there.
Because in the past, what we have to do with every other custom club, if you use anything lightweight, it's going to take 8 or 10 grams down the neck, and that does change things.
Yeah,
you know?
and in graphite you can't do much, because the tip is so thick that you can't put anything in there, and it makes it very difficult.
Your graphite, we use thin wall graphite.
Yeah, okay, all right.
So the whole point is, now when we order a set of heads, we order it custom for that player and that shaft, and they come in the exact weight that we need. So if it needs to be 12 grams heavy, not only is it the perfect grind, the perfect shape, it's also...
Well, and we can't forget those really important factors that, you know, beyond the weight, which is the bounce angle on the bottom of the golf club, which is not a very understood concept, and if people knew more about it, they would be going, whoa, I need to have that, because that makes all the sense in the world.
Well, let's get into that right now.
Okay, well, every player has a certain type of angle of attack. They're going to have anywhere, you know, from 4 to 12 degrees of angle of attack, depending on the club and the application, and they're going to have a certain amount of lean angle. So it could be perfectly neutral if you come in, you know, with no lag, and if you have, you know, any lean, it could be up to 12, 14 degrees of lean, you know. So you take the angle of attack and the lean angle, and you add those two numbers together, and that should give you the number that it should be on the bottom of the golf club. So it's a zero angle. So when we say the word bounce, we really don't want bounce. It's an angle that describes how do we get to a zero angle, so that my angle of attack and my lean zero themselves out at the bottom, and I have no dig and I have no trailing edge dig.
Yeah, that's an important concept. So we're not trying to pop a guy back up out of the turf.
No,
we're just trying to let him have that nice smooth contact.
Exactly. I mean, if you have a requirement for 15 degrees of a bounce and you have 4 degrees of bounce in your golf club, then you have 11 degrees of dig that you have to offset by doing different things to stave off going.
Yeah.
digging and taking that big old.
What's been, since this is, I mean, there's no set of irons anywhere except for yours that are over 10 degrees and bounce up the.
Yeah, I mean, and bounce is a very subjective word because it can be the width of the bounce, not a lot of angle to the bounce, but the width produces an effective bounce angle, which could be bigger because it's so wide. And you'll see that in some of the ping irons and some that are extremely wide in the back, and or camber. So you'll get in camber. Some companies do camber, but it has a lot of leading edge bounce, but then it trails off into nothing. So depending on the application, but if the customer doesn't know what he's looking for, know what club has what, then they're kind of in a tough spot.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what's been the acceptance?
It's been of the sets we put out there, having anybody call in and say, "Dave, I'm just completely disappointed with what I've got." They're conversely, these are the best irons I've ever hit. I've never hit anything that felt so good going through the ground. And because we also help control gaps, lofts, try to figure out between the wedges, the bounce angles in the wedges, and how they interface with the iron set, so that those gaps are consistent, so they're not big holes in there, where they got a 6-degree gap in a club, and they're like, wow, I really have a distance problem here. Buying the effective number of clubs that they need. I need only a 5-iron through. I don't need to own 2 clubs that I'm never going to use. Yes, our clubs are more pricey, but there's so much that goes into making a set of golf clubs that I think when the customer understands why our clubs, what goes into making them, they understand that the price validated the function.
So talking to David earlier in the week, and he was describing the pain that he goes through to make these, that there's 2 hours of labor, 2 hours of time in every golf.
Well, there's 2 hours of hand labor, and then there's machine time. So we can have up to 3 hours of overall time in one iron head. So you look at a 7-set club, a 7-set club makeup, and you're looking at 21 hours of time to make it. Yeah. In America, with skilled tradesmen, you're not gonna, we can't compare that to other scenarios.
I think that the market will understand. So, coming to you from Orlando, PGA Merchandise Show 2013 with David Edel.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.